Hi, my name's Matthew. I'm the general manager of Holiday Coach and Auto Sales. My right-hand man, Nigel's behind the camera today. He's going to be on some of the later videos, but today we're going to start a video series. Hopefully, if you guys like it, like, comment, subscribe, let us know what you want to see more of. We're going to do an overview video today. We're going to talk about the process of what it's like to buy a motor coach from the start, the middle, and the end, the whole way through.
When looking online, you'll find will be your easiest tool to search for used coaches, as unlike cars, there's not exactly coach lots every block of the way. Coaches will be far and few between. So go on and open your browser. Our favorite is Google. And what we're going to use is buses for sale. You could also type coaches for sale, Prevost for sale, MCI for sale, whatever that may be. But go ahead and search that, or better yet, just search holiday coach sales. But for the instance of this situation, we're going to use our own website to kind of talk about what to look for. So we're going to look at holiday coach and auto sales. So once you go to the website, hopefully at this point, we'll do a video on how to decide if a coach is right for you later on. For the sake of this video, we're going to assume that you've already went through that video or those questionnaires to find out, is buying a coach right for your situation? For the sake of this video, we're going to assume that it is. So today, what we're going to do is we've also decided our budget and what type of coach we're looking for. So today, we're going to play as if you're looking for a Prevost motor coach. Now, as you'll notice on our website, we try to make it as user-friendly as possible. You can search by location. So if you live in, say, Florida or North Carolina, you could search by those locations, but we really advise not to do that, as coaches, unlike cars, are not going to be as abundant. So there may only be one or two coaches in each of these locations, and more than likely, you're going to have to travel to find the right coach. We can count on one hand how many times we've sold a coach to a person that lived in the state in which the coach was located in. So it does happen, but it is rare. So we advise to not utilize the search tool here. But what we want to do is come down to, like we said, we've narrowed it down to a Prevost. So once you've got the Prevost, and for the sake of this video, we've talked about using a $50,000 budget. So both of these coaches would meet that need, but we're going to look at this coach today. So once you're here, what you're looking for in a coach listing is as much details as possible, but also you want to make sure that it's accurate information. So there could be too much information, which could lead to questions of, is it accurate? For this listing, what you'll find, this is one of our best listings that we've got. This coach is on site. And what you'll notice is the location. So usually this will say what state that's in. Well, for now, this is at dealer location, which means it's in North Carolina with us. Other important information to note is up here in this bar, as well as a lot of your pertinent information will be right here. But you'll notice this coach has a Detroit with an Allison transmission. We'll notice that the trans rebuilt and engine rebuilt is left as NA. That doesn't mean that it hasn't been rebuilt. It just means that we don't have records for that rebuild. Unlike other sellers, we only want to advertise and market information that we know is true and can back up with facts. So this transmission, likely due to the age of this coach and then the mileage as well, it probably has been rebuilt. But without maintenance history or records, we will never advertise it as rebuilt. We'll just simply say that it likely has been. As well, the engine, with Prevost, with the Detroit engine, it likely hasn't been rebuilt, but it's probably been overhauled. But again, there's no date on this. This owner has only owned the coach for a brief period of time. So unless it's a one-owner coach, you're very likely not going to have all the information on that coach, as for whatever reason, maintenance records aren't always shared between owners. So look, reasonably, you're looking for a one-owner coach with all maintenance history, but that is going to drive up your price, unfortunately. But also things to note is what type of fuel it uses. For your full-size coaches, diesel's practically going to be your only option. But if you're looking for shuttle buses, you could also have gas, natural gas, or even electric is coming in now. But what you want to look for in the listing is, does it have a video? It's hard to hide anything in a video, which is why we love using videos when we can get a hold of them, as they show the true coach for what they are, and it's a whole lot harder to hide flaws. And this coach does have a video. As well, another thing to look for is the photos. See if you've got a virtual walk around in these photos. As you notice, we go completely around the vehicle. And what you want to look for in these photos is body damage. Make sure it's in the condition that you would like to see. Look in the panels, make sure everything's neatly and tidy. Look at the engine. The engine is going to be a good telltale sign for rust. While not every facility or coach company is able to get underbody shots, they are able to take an engine photo, which is going to give you a good idea. If the engine's clean like this one, you can assume that it's come from a Southern fleet. If it's showing rust on all of these components, then you know that you should definitely inspect the underbody much further. There's also no reason that you can't get a photo such as this that shows the side frame. Again, this is not going to be perfect, but it's going to show the good portion of the frame. And as we can see here, there's not any rust. As well, you kind of get a shot of the tires. Showing off the interior, you want to try to get a shot from the front to the back. This is going to show the condition of the coach throughout. And then, of course, finishing it off is the restroom. So once you've found the coach listing, narrowed it down to hopefully one or two coaches, if they're in the same location, that's great. Likely they're not going to be. But what you want to do then is further inspect the photos. Of course, if it has a video, inspect the video, and then decide which coach you want to go take a look at. And once you've narrowed it down to hopefully one coach, what you'll do next is give the salesperson a call. For all of our coaches, our phone number can be found right here on the call today. Other sales listings, hopefully it'll be somewhere on the website or somewhere on the listing. But once you call the salesperson, have a list of questions lined up, ready to go. So that way the call is the most productive for you. Some of those questions should be confirming the details in which you've already seen on the listing. So things like, does it have a Detroit engine? Does it have an Allison transmission? Confirm the year. Confirm that the photos are of the actual unit. You'd be surprised how often other sellers, we won't usually do this, but how other sellers may put photos of a different unit because that unit wasn't available that day. So you want to make sure that the vehicle that you're looking at is the actual unit. Sometimes in our photos, if we've got a fleet of coaches being sold, we will use images from one coach across all of the listings. So that way they don't have to strip down each and every coach, because our coaches that we sell are usually still in service until sold. We're selling them right out of active charter bus fleets. So do confirm that the images are of that exact coach. And if they're not, that's the time to ask the salesperson to simply send you photos. We will always do that. We have photos of every coach that we're selling, and we'll be happy to send you that file. So that way you can look at the actual coach that you're inquiring on. But usually they will all be identical, or we will require photos of that coach. So it shouldn't vary. The scratch in one fender may be different from a scratch in another. But other than that, they should be the same when we list coaches. But do confirm the photos, engine, transmission, and as well go into further detail of things that haven't been disclosed on the listing, such as the miles, how many owners, and the coach history. For instance, miles is a touchy subject. Some sellers will list miles, and they'll simply list what's on the odometer. But that can't always be trusted. Coach miles, unlike car vehicle miles, are not going to be as accurate. These coaches have, some of these coaches can have over 1 million miles, and also they go through a lot more rigorous events. Therefore, the dash can sometimes have to be replaced due to gauge cluster failures, or simply the odometer lighting has gone out. Anytime that's done, usually it resets at 0. So you could be dealing with a rollover, you could be dealing with a mechanical replacement, or some companies, when they replace the engine and transmission, they replace the odometer to track that. So there could be an array of reasons why the odometer mileage and even the ECM mileage may not be accurate on a coach. ECMs can be replaced out as well due to failure. Unlike your vehicle, these vehicles are seeing on average usually about 30 to 50,000 miles per year. So as you notice, a lot more wear and tear happens. So whenever you're looking at mileage, be very careful with how much weight you put on mileage, unless it's a one-owner coach or they have all the records from new, which is why we don't advertise mileage on our listings. Is unless we can back it up with fact, we want to have the conversation of, one, where did the mileage estimate come from? 2, make sure you understand that it is just that, an estimate. And 3, give you what facts we have surrounding the mileages. We're going to give you all the facts that we can. But we never want to give you anything that's misleading. And we find that taking a picture of the odometer or listing odometer miles or even ECM miles oftentimes can mislead the customer, and we never want to do that. But also confirm how many owners the vehicles had, as well as history. Where was the coach operated? If it was operated in the north, you're definitely going to want to look into that rust further. If it's operated in the south, you still want to look at it, but it's not as much of a concern. See if they'll send you underbody photos. It never hurts to ask. But also confirm the owners, because that's going to tell you if it's changed hands a lot, which is pretty usual for a coach. You just want to make sure that it stayed in the regionals that you're wanting to look in. Then as well, just ask the salesperson what other details they can have. And assuming, for this case, we're going to assume that all of your questions got answered, and we're going to now go look at the coach. So now it's time to book that flight or plan that drive or plan whatever transportation mode you're going to use to get to the coach. And it's now time to take a trip to go see that coach. Whenever you're doing that, usually what I recommend is making sure that you've alerted your insurance company that you're planning to use, that you're planning on purchasing a vehicle, and go ahead and get that on standby. As a lot of companies, unfortunately, won't be allowed to let you test drive a vehicle without your insurance. As most of them, you have to be an employee of their company to be valid on their insurance. So it is good to have your insurance company on standby to where you can simply tell them, I'm looking to test drive the vehicle. Please add it for this test drive. If you buy the vehicle, you can simply leave it on. If you don't, you can usually take it off. And there's usually no fee for this, and it's usually pretty easy. But it does take a day or two to get everything lined up. And you'll need things like the year, make, model, VIN number. And they may ask for different information depending on your insurance. But that is something to take into account. As well, when you go look at this coach, because it's likely not where you're going, you'll want to have the financing set in place. So if you're financing the coach, Make sure you've got all of that lined up, as financing a coach is more like buying a house than it is any other vehicle. It will take on average anywhere from 2 up to 7+ days, depending on the logistics of the deal. If you're paying cash, plan to take a cashier's check. Or have wire information ready to go. Confirm before you leave that your bank will wire based on voice and not require you to be inside the branch, as your branch location may not be where the coach is at. But you'll want to have all this stuff lined up, so that way you can easily view the vehicle and then purchase it if that's what you so choose. But let's go ahead and jump into the next part of the video, where we're going to go look at a motor coach with you.
So today, now we're at step 2. When you get to the motor coach, when you're taking a look at that, what we want to do is not so much focus on every little detail, but we're going to focus today on just the overview. So when you arrive at the motor coach, once you've introduced yourself to the salesperson, in this case, it'll be Nigel or myself, you'll take a look over the motor coach. What you're going to want to do is take a brief overview to start off with of just looking at the exterior of the coach. As you're walking around the coach, you don't want to so much look at every dent, ding, scratch, scrape, stuff like that. These vehicles usually in the price range that we're going to be using in the example of this video of around $50,000, you're not going to get that perfect motor coach. It's going to have dents, dings, scratches, chips, things like that, as it's got probably 500 to 1 million miles on it. And unlike your car, it's not been driven by just you. It's been driven by probably about 50 to 100 different people. And they didn't actually own the vehicle. So sometimes things get damaged a little bit. Charter bus companies aren't going to be able to afford to replace every dent, ding, and scratch. Oftentimes, that would cause them to go bankrupt. But what you want to look for is major body damages, major panels dashed in. For the luggage bays, you want to make sure that they're going to open freely and clear. You want to take a look inside. What you want to do is make sure that there's no rust, that as you can see this one here, the frame is solid. Everything about it is straight. There's no visible bottomed out right here. Everything looks straight. That's what you want to look for whenever you're going through these, to make sure that there's no major damages. Come back around, look at the back. This is a common swing point here where there's going to be a lot of body damage. What you want to do is make sure that everything's straight. If the coach hasn't been recently washed, it may be black on the back. How much black? That's what you want to pay attention to figure out how much oil and how much diesel exhaust is coming back there that may be unhealthy. Some black will be normal. Another thing to look at when you're walking around the coach is the windows. There's 2 things you want to pay attention to on the windows. Number 1 is to see if they're foggy or clear. You may not be able to see that from the outside exactly, depending on the day, but you can see more in the interior, which we'll get to. But the exterior, you want to look for cracks, scrapes, and fogginess if you can tell. Another thing to check whenever you're here on the coaches. While Nigel's at the rear, we're going to show the camera up in the wheel well there. That's a good place to look at the rust, to make sure that there's no rust. As you can see on this coach, it's very clean. Another thing to look for is the tire tread depths. These tires, unlike your cars, are not going to be $100 to $200. These are going to be upwards of $500 to $600 a tire for a good name brand tire. So now that's going to complete our exterior walkthrough. So that was just to basically see what the exterior condition of the coach is. If it's satisfactory to you, continue with the inspection. Take a look at all the panels, open up all the bay doors. Inspect everything to make sure that everything's in the right places. Make sure there's no gaps, no wires hanging around. Make sure everything's neat and tidy. On our motor coach, we put our DOT inspection stickers on the exterior of the coach. For other places, it may be on the inside, but make sure it's got a valid DOT inspection to make sure that it's roadworthy. Again, here we're just looking and opening up all the bay doors to make sure that the frame continues to be straight and making sure that there's no visible rust. And if there is visible rust, if it came from up north, that's okay. It's not a deal breaker. It's just something you want to pay attention to. Then coming back around to the rear of the coach, we're going to continue to inspect the exterior of the coach and everything on the outside. In this door, oftentimes will be your battery box. Unfortunately, on this coach, the batteries are underneath the panel, so we're not going to show those today. That'll be in the later video when we dive deeper in. Coming around here after the battery box, we're going to go ahead and open up the engine and take a look at what to look for there. Once you've got the engine open, there's a few things you want to look at. You've got your AC compressor. Make sure all the belts are tight and snug. If the coach hasn't aired up, they may be loose, but we'll re-inspect those. You also want to check your gearbox dipstick. Make sure the fluids are good. Your coolant, but make sure you're on a level ground when you're checking these, as it could throw off the eyeglass sight or the dipsticks. Your trans and your oil. Make sure to check all of those fluids to make sure that they're at the adequate levels. As well, on the other side of the coach, we'll go back over there on the way out, but your condenser fans and everything for your ACs there. Here's your radiators. What you want to look for here is to make sure that there's no visible damage. Some damage could be expected, but you want to make sure that it's overall functioning correctly. And then your AC condenser fan is in this door. Again, we're not going to open them all up today for the overview, but we will do some videos where we're going to go into full depth, full inspections and stuff like that later. Coming on to the coach now to do the interior walkthrough. What you're going to first see is the driver's area, but we're going to let Nigel cover that here in a little bit. He's going to go through and show you the driver area, give you a little bit of functionality on an overview again. We'll do a deep dive on just that. But as you're coming through the coach, what you want to look for is to make sure that the overhead lights are on. Some coaches will have them all the way down through here on the exterior. Some of them will be in the interior above here. But just make sure that they're on, as well as your reading lights. You can flip those on individually. Sometimes there's an extra switch for that. So just make sure that whoever's showing you that will make sure all the power's there, because just because it doesn't work doesn't mean it's not actually working. As well as some coaches are equipped with overhead bins. Some coaches only have no face. Depending on the coach, make sure that whatever's important to you works and has the features that you like. As well as you'll notice this coach is equipped, has power outlets. Might want to make sure that they work. Again, if that's something that's important to you, make sure that it works. Interior seat condition, that's the other main thing that we're doing when we're walking through this coach. Make sure that the interior seat condition meets what we're looking for. TVs. Older coaches will have the box TVs. Newer coaches will have the flat screens. You can change those out. It's not a big repair to do. As well, most of your full-size coaches will be stocked with a full restroom. Inspect the restroom. Make sure that it's clean and make sure that everything looks functional. And there's not much else to look at in the interior. What you want to do, one other thing, is to look around the hatches, make sure that there's no leaks. Leaks are very common, so it's not a problem if there is. It's just something to note to make sure that it's not an active leak. Feel it, see if it's damp. If it's not, it was probably a past leak that's already been repaired. One other thing that you want to check while you're on the coach, make sure that it's cooling. If you just got on and fired it up, it may take 15 plus minutes for it to start feeling cold. But fill the vents. Make sure that the air is coming out cold or hot or both, depending on if you want to test both. The next thing you want to do before you exit the coach is focus on the DVD player and equipment. Make sure that if your coach is equipped with a DVD player, VCR, or both, that they work. Test out the TV monitors. Make sure that all of them are functioning correctly. For this one, we didn't put a DVD in due to copyright issues. But for this, you can see that every TV does have REI, which is the brand that most motor coaches are going to have. And all the TVs are functioning. As well, again, for copyright issues, we're not able to play music or sound, but make sure that there's sound coming from all the speakers. As you walk through the coach, it should sound pretty normal and pretty about the same level of sound as you walk from the front to the rear. Another thing to check is the audio for the PA system if equipped. And if that's important to you, test it out, check it out. Make sure the PA system's on. There are multiple levels of steps that you have to do, which again, we'll do a deep dive video of how to turn all that equipment on, but your salesperson should be able to show you. And once you've signed the bill of sale, paid your check, and you're ready to be home, be sure to buckle up and be safe for the drive home. Let your salesperson know that everything's good and that they've given you a good job. Give them a thumbs up and head on out. And once you've driven off, giving your salesperson a wave, you're now on your way home in your new vehicle. So what does post-purchase look like? Well, usually, once you've purchased a vehicle, unless otherwise stated, all vehicles are usually sold as is, especially used coaches. Usually, unless the vehicle is around 1 to maybe 2 years old, the factory warranty has expired, and usually there aren't any warranties provided at the time of sale. So usually assume that all vehicles are sold as is, unless there's something else in writing. And I do mean in writing. Don't go off of what a verbal warranty is, as usually those are going to be extremely impossible to enforce. As well, when a seller tells you that there's a warranty or that they're warranting a part of the vehicle, make sure you get that in writing. Make sure it's on the bill of sale, as well as a separate document laying out what that warranty covers and what it doesn't cover. But more safely, go with a third-party warranty company if you're going to go with a warranty. They may be expensive, but those are the only warranties that are going to be regulated and easy to enforce. We'll cover warranties in a separate video. But for now, just assume that every vehicle that you purchase is sold as is, whether it's bought from us or any other seller, be that private party, be that from a bus broker, be that from a bus dealer. But assume that all vehicles are sold as is once you've purchased. So any issues that you want to have addressed, make sure they're addressed before you pay, before you sign the bill of sale, and before you drive off. As once all of that's done, the vehicle is yours. We hope that you enjoy it. We hope that you don't have any issues, and we hope that you enjoy it for decades to come, whatever your use may be. And whenever you're ready to resell it, of course, give Holiday Coach and Auto Sales a call at 336-808-0320. Nigel and Matthew will be standing by ready to assist you with purchasing or selling. And we thank you for taking this tour with us. Hopefully a lot of you found this video to be helpful, and hopefully a lot of helpful information. Like, subscribe, comment, but be sure to comment in the comment section of what you'd like to see in more detail, as well as what videos you'd like to see for future content to help you make the decisions during the purchase process, while you're purchasing and post-purchase. Let us know in the comments below what you need more details on and what you need to feel more comfortable for a coach. And as always, give Nigel and I a call when you're ready to purchase a coach, or if you're just ready to find out if purchasing a coach is right for you, we offer free consultation to help you figure that out. Signing off for Matthew and Nigel.